Good evening, everyone. My name is Peiyin. I'm the group leader for Ironwall Cybersecurity. Today, we're going to present information security plan development for your company. And this presentation prepared by Fatima, Hayden, Tony, and myself. In this presentation, we were going to cover assumptions, information security plan, information security models, risk assessment and risk management, organizational support, ISP governance, importance of executive support.
Assumptions. Our company, Iron Wolf Cybersecurity, is a well-established cybersecurity consulting firm here in San Diego, California. Our client, Acme Co., is a small company with less than 100 employees operating in a 50% remote work capacity due to COVID-19. We understand that Acme Co. has a small IT department of less than 3 individuals, and that at this time has not developed a business continuity plan, business impact assessment, information security plan, plan of action, and milestone at this time. Other assumptions. Ransomware attacks continue to rise and remains on public news. The Acme Co. leadership is motivated to incorporate modern security practices into company operational practices, and any ISP that is introduced needs to be flexible enough to grow with the company and take into consideration several potential risk factors.
Information Security Plan, ISP, is designed to protect information and critical resources from a wide range of threats in order to ensure business continuity, minimize business risk, and maximize return on investment and business opportunities. In the Information Security Plan, expectations are set for every information system in use at your company to include physical, digital, logical policies. What is an ISP needed for your organization? Without information security, an organization's information assets, including any intellectual property, are susceptible to compromise or death. As a result, consumer and shareholder confidence and reputation suffer potentially to the point of ruining the company altogether. It is important to keep the principles of CIA Triad in mind when developing corporate information security policies.
At Iron Wolf Cybersecurity, we recommend following the CIA Triad. The first C stands for confidentiality. This is to keep your information protected against unauthorized disclosure. Next, we have the I for integrity. This is the protection of information against unauthorized modification, basically keeping your files intact. Next, we have the A for availability. This is the protection of information needed against unauthorized destruction and ensuring that data is accessible when needed. Together, all these security policies that we propose support the CIA Triad and define the who, what, and why regarding the desired behavior, and they play an important role in an organization's overall security posture.
Principles of Information Security, the DAD principle. The first D stands for disclosure, means opposite of confidentiality. Someone without proper authorization gets access to your information. The A stands for alteration, opposite of integrity. Your data has been changed. The last D stands for destruction, the opposite of availability. Your data or system has been destroyed or rendered inaccessible. The DAD principle is the antithesis of the CIA Triad. These concepts are fully exclusive and further ground the importance of developing and following a sound information security plan.
When it comes to an information security plan, it's very important to consider asset management. It allows the organization to keep track of all their assets, as it can tell where the asset is located, how it's used, and what changes are made. Why asset management important for an information security plan? The answer is any device like employee, desktop, laptop, or tablet will contain a sensitive data that can be used to gain access to your company resources. Another part of information security plan is data protection and privacy. Data protection means keeping data safe from unauthorized access. while data privacy means empowering your users to make their own decisions about who can process their data and for what purpose. Physical security is another important matter that must need to be overlooked. The more secure your facility is, the harder it will be for an individual to gain access to your building or your network resources. So, what do we mean by physical security? It refers to measures taken to protect systems, buildings, and related supporting infrastructure against threats associated with their physical environment. These measures can be camera systems around the building or above the data center, high fence, or having a visitor log at the front desk, or maybe having safeguard at the entry point. It can also be a smart card access or biometric scan for an employee to gain access to the facility. Environmental threats can be a fire, flood, or any natural disaster. And as it has been mentioned, your company is located in a hurricane area. So if a natural disaster happened, how can your company be back to its normal operation faster? Part of the security plan is to guide you how to have a cold, warm, or hot site as a faster incident response. Access control is a fundamental component of data security that defines who's allowed to access and use company information and resources. Through authentication and authorization, access control policies make sure users are who they say they are and that they have the appropriate access to company data. For example, applying multi-factor authentication for accessing emails. Another example, no need for marketing team to have access to payroll network drive, and only a payroll employee needs that access. Another security policy that needs to be put in place is information security incident management. This policy explains how information about reporting incidents is provided, who's responsible for reporting, responding, and investigating, and how these are handled. Risk management and business continuity management policy is a critical part of any security plan. Serious risks threaten the survival of your company, but effective risk management reduces your exposure and facilitates planning for business continuity. When you identify risk and take mitigating action, your business continuity plan can focus on threats that remain outside of your control. Mobile security policy refers to the protection of smartphones and tablets from theft and loss, or maybe public Wi-Fi. These devices must be protected with a password, strong password required at the time the device is powered on. Password must meet the requirement outlined in a password policy, and all the data stored on mobile devices should be encrypted. And if your company is fine to let their employees use their personal devices for work purposes, bring your own device policy needs to be defined. Human resources and security awareness. HR professionals must work closely with IT department to educate your staff about cybersecurity attacks and teach employees how to spot suspicious activity and what does phishing emails mean and how often they need to change their password and what's the password policy and why they cannot use a common password. Vulnerability management is the process of identifying, evaluating, treating, and reporting on security vulnerabilities in the systems and the software that runs on them. So when you run a vulnerability assessment to your network or organization, you can patch it before a hacker knows about it. The best practice is to perform vulnerability scanning at least once every 3 months. But depending on your unique organizational needs, you may need performing scans monthly or even weekly.
Security governance needs to address many aspects of the organization to include strategic planning, acquisitions, divestitures, legislation, and governance committees. The implementation of an information security governance structure allows for the alignment of security and business efforts within an organization. NIST Special Publication 800-100, the Information Security Handbook, a guide for managers, defines information security governance as the process of establishing and maintaining a framework and supporting management structure and processes to provide assurance that information security strategies are aligned with and support business objectives, are consistent with applicable laws and regulations through adherence to policies and internal controls, and provide assignment of responsibility, all in an effort to manage risk. How do we get there? By following several different publication and reference documentation, we will begin to construct both an information security governance plan and the information security plan itself. And this special publication, 800-100, defines the standards and guidelines for federal agencies to architect and manage their information security systems. It was established to provide guidance for the protection of agencies and citizens' private data, or rather, the company and customers' data. This will establish a set of security controls and framework for us to develop our governance and information security plan. And this special publication, 800-100, provides guidance on strategic planning, organizational structure, establishment of roles and responsibilities, integration with the enterprise architecture, and the documentation of security objectives. The information in Standards Organization Document 27001 provides requirements for the development of an Information Security Management System, or ISMS. The IT Governance Institute defines 5 basic outcomes of information security governance as strategic alignment, risk management, resource management, value delivery, performance management. During the development of the ISP, we will ensure that your information security plan complies with various legislation and information security acts applicable to your company. With this, information security governance becomes the beating heart of your security policy and plans to keep them in line with your company's short-term and long-term objectives. Risk assessment is the overall process of risk identification, risk analysis, and risk evaluation. This step is crucial within the development of your information security plan. Some important publications and frameworks that we will use in the NIST special publications 800-30 and -39. Both of these documents provide guidance for conducting risk assessments and how to manage risk for information systems within both federal government and organizations. Within special publication 800-39, there is guidance for how to frame the risk, assess it, develop a plan to respond to the risk, and monitor the risk within a continuous cycle. For your company, to conduct a risk assessment, we will use both a qualitative and a quantitative approach. Risk management is a detailed process of identifying factors that could damage or disclose data, evaluating those factors considering data value and countermeasure costs, and implementing cost-effective solutions for mitigating or reducing risk. The primary and key goal of risk management is to reduce risk to an acceptable level. We achieve that through risk analysis, a thorough risk analysis in which we examine environment for risks, evaluate the threat events and their likelihood of occurrence, and the cost of damage if it did occur. Cybersecurity risk management process is a continuous cycle of identifying, analyzing, evaluating, and addressing your organization's cybersecurity threats. We would recommend the use of the factor analysis of information risk model, which is the only international standard quantitative model for information security and operational risk. In this, we will gain an understanding of the risks and threats that face your company within operational and financial terms. It is unlike risk assessment frameworks that focus on their output on the qualitative color charts or numerical weighted scales. It builds a foundation for developing a robust approach to information risk management.
The importance of executive support. Essentially the support from yourself. So, the Chief Executive Officer, as a decision maker, your buy-in really adds credibility to the business continuity plan and the business impact assessment. Your buy-in also aids with the purchase of cybersecurity safeguards and shows that you're on board with that process. Next up, you have the Chief Information Security Officer, who's responsible for the Enterprise Information Security Program and acts as a liaison between exec management and the Information Security Program. Next, the executive support is really important for reviewing changes like change management, making risk decisions and prioritizing, and setting the budget and risk tolerance that all comes from the top down. organizational support. So at Iron Wolf Cybersecurity, we want to really press the message that cybersecurity and the enforcement of cybersecurity policies is a collective team effort. And it starts with yourself, the CEO, and the C team, which requires the buy-in and support of the policies. Next up, that trickles down to the support from all the departments, including HR, the department heads, and the execution of annual training. And lastly, with that, you get organizational compliance. The organization must comply with its own policies, audits, cultures, and standards. And together, you get that collective effort.